Shalom, everyone. Thanks for joining me today in another episode of Yasplain. Today, we are going to look at the scriptures concerning Zechariah's vision. Today, in this episode, we're going to look at who is the angel of the Lord, the angel of YHUH, who is Satan, and who are the two olive trees. Today, we're going to look at Zechariah chapter 3, where it talks about Satan and this interaction that's going on between the angel of the Lord, the angel of YHUH, and Satan and Joshua the high priest. Now, when you hear the word Satan, what does that invoke? What kind of imagery comes up in your mind? Maybe some people think of like a pitchfork and a guy with horns and stuff like that, or demonic imagery, or stuff from Revelation where we think about the fallen angels and the dragon and so on and so forth. So that's kind of the general idea I think that most believers have as far as it comes to Satan. But Satan doesn't always mean some angelic being, right? It could be just a particular person who's being adversarial. And the word Satan, Shaitan, is, according to Brown's Driver and Briggs definition, is an adversary. It's one who withstands, right? It could be general or national. So it could be a spiritual being entity, which is in opposition to the believers, or it could be a person that's actually doing this. So today we're going to look at this record in Zechariah chapter 3. We're going to examine the scriptures. We're going to build context line upon line, and we're going to see exactly who is the Satan in Zechariah's vision, and we're going to see who is the angel of the Lord, the angel of YHUH, and who are the two olive trees. So let's look at Zechariah chapter 3, verses 1 through 2. It says, "Then he showed me Joshua the high priest." So this is Zechariah having this vision. "He showed me Joshua the high priest standing before the angel of the Lord, the angel of YHUH, and Satan standing at his right hand to accuse him. And YHUH said to Satan, YHUH rebuke you, O Satan. YHUH, who has chosen Jerusalem, rebuke you. Is not this a brand plucked from the fire?" So we'll notice that here in chapter 3 that this starts off with, "Then he showed me." So chapter 3 is a continuation of what's happening starting in chapter 1. And to understand what's taking place here in chapter 3 and the entire book of Zechariah, we need full context of the book of Zechariah. Importantly, we need the historical context. The context is that the tribes of Judah and Benjamin are returning from exile in Babylon, and they are in the process of rebuilding the temple. So this Joshua here in chapter 3 is being designated as high priest. So starting in chapter 1, Zechariah is given a vision. Now, this is important for us to understand too, that visions are colorful, poetic illustrations given to communicate a particular situation. So they're not always necessarily literal. It's not like it's necessarily literally happening. Sure, maybe this could be happening in the spirit realm. I'm okay with that, but I think there's sometimes we need to dig a little bit deeper and just kind of get a broader context when we understand or read about visions. And there's typically a lot of symbology and metaphors used when communicating visions. And this is what's happening here in Zechariah. So let's go back to chapter 1. Let's build some context leading up to chapter 3 and see what's taking place here. So Zechariah chapter 1, starting in verse 7 through 12, says, "On the 24th day of the 11th month, which is the month of Shabbat, in the second year of Darius, the word of YHUH came to the prophet Zechariah, the son of Berechiah, son of Iddo, saying, I saw in the night." So maybe he's looking at the stars or something. He's reading the heavenly scroll. "And behold, a man riding on a red horse," but maybe not. "He was standing among the myrtle trees in the glen, and behind him were red, sorrel, and white horses. Then I said, What are these, my Lord? The angel who talked with me said to me, I will show you what they are. So the man who was standing among the myrtle trees answered, These are they whom YHUH has sent to patrol the earth. Verse 11, "And they answered the angel of YHUH who was standing among the myrtle trees, and said, We have patrolled the earth, and behold, all the earth remains at rest. Then the angel of YHUH said, so here's the angel speaking, and he's saying, O YHUH of hosts. So right there, that should tell us the angel of YHUH, we can do process elimination, is not YHUH. A lot of people want to try to make the angel of the Lord be Jesus or God or some form, but usually when you start reading more context, you can see that there's actually multiple people being spoken to and listening to here. So this particular angel says, O YHUH of hosts, how long will you have mercy on Jerusalem and the cities of Judah against which you have been angry these 70 years? Skip down to verse 16. Therefore, thus says Yahweh, I am returned to Jerusalem with mercies. My house shall be built in it, says Yahweh Sevuoth, and a line shall be stretched forth upon Jerusalem. So the overall encompassing vision is about the restoration of Jerusalem and the building of the temple. So let's continue into Zechariah, and we'll look at the vision of the craftsman. Verse 18. So, and I, Zechariah, lifted up my eyes and saw, and behold, 4 horns. And I said to the angel who talked with me, What are these? And he said to me, These are the horns that have scattered Judah, Israel, and Jerusalem. Then YHUH showed me 4 craftsmen. And I said, What are these coming to do? He said, These are the horns that scattered Judah, so that no one raised his head, and these have come to terrify them, to cast down the horns of the nations, who lifted up their horns against the land of Judah to scatter it. So the word horns here is indicative of kings and of nations. So Zechariah is painting a picture for us in this vision to communicate a specific purpose. And we'll move on to chapter 2, and we're going to see the vision of the man with the measuring line. Chapter 2, verse 1 says, And I lifted up my eyes and saw, and behold, a man with a measuring line in his hand. And I said, Where are you going? And he said to me, To measure Jerusalem, to see what is its width and what is its length. So we have a vision here of someone measuring a city, kind of like an architect who's planning to build. He's taking his measurements. Now we're going to move into chapter 3, where we are given the vision of the high priest and Satan who is resisting this high priest. So starting in verse 1 of Zechariah chapter 3, verses 1 through 8, Then he showed me Joshua, the high priest, standing before the angel of YHUH, the angel of the Lord. So that's Melech YHUH, right? Melech YHUH, and Satan standing at his right hand to accuse him. And YHUH said to Satan, YHUH rebuke you, O Satan. YHUH has chosen Jerusalem. Who has chosen Jerusalem rebuke you. Is not this a brand plucked from the fire? Now Joshua was standing before the angel, clothed with filthy garments. And the angel said to those who were standing before him, Remove your filthy garments from him. And to him he said, Behold, I have taken your iniquity from you, and I will clothe you from the pure vestments. And I said, Let them put a clean turban on his head. Verse 5. So they put a clean turban on his head and clothed him with garments. And the angel of YHUH was standing by. And the angel of YHUH solemnly assured Joshua, Thus says YHUH of hosts, If you will walk in my ways and keep my charge, then you shall rule my house and have charge of my courts. And I will give you the right of access among those who are standing here. Hear now, O Joshua the high priest, you and your friends who sit before you, for they are men who are a sign. Behold, I will bring my servant the branch. So he's got his friends. We see this vision. We see an angel. We see, which is also a messenger. The word angel, Malach, is a messenger. So we have an angel. We have a messenger. We have Satan, someone who's being adversarial. We have the angel of YHUH. And then we have YHUH himself and the angel communicating on behalf of YHUH. Right? And then we have his friends that are around. So this is a illustrative vision that is being given to us. So let's dig in a little bit further and let's read about the lampstands and the olive trees. Starting in chapter 4, verses 1 through 9. And the angel who talked with me came again and woke me, like a man who's awakened out of his sleep. And he said to me, "What do you see?" I said, "I see and behold a lampstand of all of gold, with a bowl on top of it and 7 lamps on it, with 7 lips on each of the lamps that are on the top of it. And there are 2 olive trees by it, one on the right of the bowl and the others on the left." And I said to the angel who talked with me, "What are these, my Lord?" Then the angel who talked with me answered and said to me, "Do you not know what these are?" I said, "No, my Lord." Then he said to me, "This is the word of YHUH to Zerubbabel." So first we're talking about Joshua. Now we're talking about Zerubbabel. "Not by might nor by power, but by my spirit, says YHUH of hosts. Who are you, O great mountain? Before Zerubbabel you shall become a plain, and he shall bring forward the top stone amid shouts of grace to it." Then the word of YHUH came to me, saying, "The hands of Zerubbabel have laid the foundation of this house. His hands shall also complete it. Then you will know that YHUH of hosts has sent me to you." Now, reading these verses with our previous preconceived ideas of Satan and angels, and we might be led to think that this is some type of mysterious, angelic, or cosmic event taking place, maybe something in the spiritual realm. But let's keep reading. Let's gain some more context here. Verse 11 of chapter 4. Then I said to him, "What are these 2 olive trees on the right and the left of the lampstand?" And a second time I answered and said to him, "What are these 2 branches of the olive trees, which are beside the 2 golden pipes from which the golden oil is poured out?" He said to me, "Do you not know what these are?" I said, "No, my Lord." Then he said, "These are the 2 anointed ones who stand by YHUH of the whole earth." And I know in my previous out of context Christian brain, I was thinking that, who are these 2 anointed ones? Who stands by YHUH of the whole earth? Thinking maybe this is some kind of celestial event. You got the sun and the moon, or maybe this is like the 2 witnesses mentioned in Revelation, or maybe it's the sticks of Judah and Israel mentioned in Ezekiel. But let's hold on and add some context, and we'll see exactly who these 2 anointed ones are. So far, just to recap a little bit of what we've read, we've had a vision of the temple, a little bit of imagery here. Horns, kings and nations. We have the high priest, Joshua. We have a measuring line, an architect, and then we have lampstands and olive trees. So this is temple imagery, temple vision. In chapter 5, I'm just going to do an overview so we don't read the whole book of Zechariah. But in chapter 5, we see a vision of a flying scroll. And so a curse is, with this flying scroll, a curse is going out over the face of the land, and a vision of a woman is in a basket, and that basket is called wickedness. And it's taken to the land of Shinar, which is Babylon, saying to build a house for it there in that land. And then moving on to chapter 6, we have a vision of 4 chariots. Zechariah chapter 6, verse 1. Again, I lifted my eyes and saw, and behold, 4 chariots came out from between 2 mountains, and the mountains were mountains of bronze. Skip down to verse 10. And this is where we'll see the one that is called the branch is identified. Chapter 6, verse 10. Take from the exiles Heldai, Tobijah, and Jedediah, who have arrived from Babylon. So these are the friends mentioned in chapter 3. And go the same day to the house of Josiah, the son of Zephaniah. Take from them silver and gold, and make a crown, and set it on the head of Joshua, the son of Jehozadak, the high priest. And say to him, Thus says YHUH of hosts, Behold, the man whose name is the branch, for he shall branch out from his place, and he shall build the temple of YHUH. It is he who shall build the temple of YHUH, and shall bear royal honor, and shall sit and rule on his throne, and there shall be a priest on his throne, and the council of peace shall be between them both. So right here, Joshua is getting anointed. Essentially, he's getting the crown put upon him, saying he is going to sit and rule on his throne. He's being identified as the branch that was talked about in chapter 3, because he's going to branch out from his place and build the temple of YHUH. And the both here at the end of this verse here, it says the both, it's referring to Zerubbabel and Joshua, both king and priest. So, king and priest, they are both anointed ones. They will rule together. We tie in chapter 3's reference to Yahusha, Joshua, and chapters 4 reference to Zerubbabel. The word of the Lord came unto Joshua. The word of the Lord came unto Zerubbabel. So we have our anointed king and priest, the two olive trees, the two anointed ones, the Melchizedek. The purpose of this vision is to declare Zerubbabel as king, Joshua as high priest, who will rule and rebuild together. The two anointed, king and priest, Zerubbabel and Joshua. And let's add some more context to this when we look at different books. Go to Haggai. If you have your Bibles, go to Haggai chapter 2. Haggai chapter 2 and verse 23. On that day declares YHUH of hosts, I will take you, O Zerubbabel, my servant, the son of Shealtiel, declares YHUH, and make you like a signet ring, for I have chosen you, declares YHUH of hosts. So Zerubbabel, he's a descendant of Jeconiah, and Jeconiah was cursed in his descendancies. But we see here that this curse is reversed through Zerubbabel. Now in the book of Ezekiel, and this is important context to understand too about what's taking place in Zechariah and Haggai, Ezra, Nehemiah, Nehemiah. In the book of Ezekiel, there's a vision that's given to Ezekiel, which is essentially to communicate that the presence of YHUH is leaving Jerusalem. The spiritual temple is lifting and moving away from Jerusalem. It's a picture of chariots, wheels within wheels, leaving the city, and then the people ultimately being exiled into Babylon. It too is a vision, so it's just to communicate that he has left the city, right, because of their sins. Now coming back to Zechariah chapter 8, after the 70-year curse in exile in Babylon, look at Zechariah chapter 8 verses 3 through 5. Thus says YHUH, I have returned to Zion, and will dwell in the midst of Jerusalem, and Jerusalem shall be called the faithful city, and the mountain of YHUH of hosts, the holy mountain. Thus says YHUH of hosts, old men and old women shall sit again in the streets of Jerusalem, each with staff in hand because of great age. And the streets of the city shall be full of boys and girls playing in the streets. So his presence leaves in Ezekiel and returns in Zechariah. So we have this vision that is given to Zechariah, which is ultimately about the restoration of the temple and the priesthood. So let's gain some more understanding and take a look at the book of Ezra. Go to Ezra chapter 3. Ezra chapter 3 verses 1 through 2. When the 7th month came, and the children of Israel were in the towns, the people gathered as one man to Jerusalem. Then arose Joshua the son of Jehozadak with his fellow priest, and Zerubbabel the son of Shealtiel, with his kinsmen, and they built the altar of Elohim of Israel to offer burnt offerings on it, as it is written in the law of Moses, the man of God. Chapter 4, verses 1 through 4. Now when the adversaries of Judah and Benjamin heard that they returned, that the returned exiles were building a temple of YHUH, the God of Israel, they approached Zerubbabel and the heads of the fathers of the houses and said to them, Let us build with you, for we worship your God as you do. And we have been sacrificing to him ever since the days of Eshtaron, king of Assyria, who brought us here. But Zerubbabel, Joshua, and the rest of the heads of fathers, houses of Israel, said to them, You have nothing to do with us in building a house to our God, but we alone will build to YHUH, the God of Israel, as King Cyrus, the king of Persia, has commanded us. Then the people of the land discouraged the people of Judah and made them afraid to build. So right here, there's adversaries. There's people that are trying to get involved with the building of the temple, and the people of Israel or people from Judah are like, not happening. And so now these people are going to write a letter. They're writing a letter to Artaxerxes saying that they, Judah, are rebuilding a temple in rebellion to the king. So these are adversarial people. Then the people of the land discouraged the people of Judah and made them afraid. Ezra 4:4. In verse 7, chapter 4. In the days of Artaxerxes, Bishlam and Mithredath and Tabeel and the rest of the associates wrote to Artaxerxes, king of Persia. The letter was written in Aramaic and translated. Rahum, the commander of Shimshai, the scribe, wrote a letter against Jerusalem to Artaxerxes, the king, as follows. So they're writing this letter saying these guys, they're trying to build in rebellion to the king's commandments. Ezra 4:24. Then the work of the house of God that is in Jerusalem stopped, and it ceased until the second year of the reign of Darius, king of Persia. So we have this time period where we have all the, they start to, Zerubbabel and Joshua and his friends, they're all beginning this process of building. And then these adversaries come along and are preventing the building of the temple in the city. Chapter 5, Ezra. Now the prophets, Haggai and Zechariah, the son of Iddo, prophesied to the Jews who were in Judah and Jerusalem, in the name of the God of Israel, who was over them. Then Zerubbabel, the son of Shealtiel, and Joshua, the son of Jehozadak, arose and began to rebuild the house of God that is in it, in Jerusalem. And the prophets of God were with them, supporting them. At the same time, Tattenai, the governor of the province beyond the river, and Shethar-Bozenai and their associates came to them and spoke to them thus, Who gave you a decree to build this house and to finish this structure? They also asked them this, What are the names of the men who are building this building? But the eye of their God was on the elders of the Jews, and they did not stop them until the report should reach Darius, and then an answer be returned by letter concerning it. So we see here that Tattenai is acting directly as a Satan, an adversary, trying to hinder the building. And I believe that this is the Satan, the adversary, that's given in the vision of Zechariah that was rebuked. So notice also this talks about the prophets Haggai and Zechariah. So we've looked at Zechariah. Now let us build some more context and let's look at Haggai. Haggai chapter 1 through 4. It says, In the second year of Darius the king, in the 6th month, on the first day of the month, the word of YHWH came by the hand of Haggai, the prophet, to Zerubbabel, the son of Shealtiel, governor of Judah, and to Joshua, the son of Jehozadak, the high priest. So here we have the words coming to Zerubbabel, to Joshua, through Haggai. Thus says YHWH of hosts, These people say the time has not yet come to rebuild the house of YHWH. Then the word of YHWH came by the hand of Haggai the prophet. Verse 4, Is it a time for you yourselves to dwell in your paneled houses while this house lies in ruins? So Haggai here is speaking on behalf of YHWH. He is his messenger. He is his angel. He is the angel of the Lord in Zechariah. Look at verse 13 of Haggai. Then Haggai, the messenger of YHWH, Malach Yahweh, spoke to the people with YHWH's message. I am with you, declares Yahweh. And Yahweh stirred up the spirit of Zerubbabel, the son of Shealtiel, governor of Judah, and the spirit of Joshua, son of Jehozadak, the high priest, and the spirit of all the remnant of the people, and they came and worked on the house of host, their God. So right there, Haggai is called the messenger of Yahweh, the Malach Yahweh, the angel of the Lord. In this context of the building of the temple and the vision of Zechariah, Haggai is the angel of the Lord. He's the messenger. He's the one speaking. Zerubbabel and Joshua are the two olive trees. They're the anointed ones that stand before Yahuwah of the earth. And this would be Haggai, who rebukes Satan, and the Satan is the Tatanai, right? He's the one that's resisting them. He's one of the adversaries. So the vision of Zechariah is a portrayal of a particular situation that's taking place. It's a colorful, illustrative way of showing that there is resistance to building of the temple, and Zechariah is being shown this vision, whether this is something taking place in the spiritual realm or it's just a way of communicating a particular scenario taking place to let them know that Yah's hand is in the situation and that they will be successful at building the temple. I hope this teaching bless you, and I pray that you'll like and subscribe and leave comments below. Let me know what your thoughts are. If you have any more context, let's build upon it. Sure love you. Shalom.